I'm more than happy to talk to you about the philosophy department and what the experience is like, what the major is like, what the minor is like, what Cal State Fullerton in particular has to offer to prospective students who are interested in majoring in philosophy, minoring, also who are just interested in philosophy classes. I'm happy to talk about that. I was going to make some general comments. Since there's only one of you, I'm more than happy to tailor my discussion to your questions and concerns. And you know what, maybe I'll go ahead and make the general comments, and then since this is being recorded, and so we'll end up on a website for students to look at. I'll go ahead and make those general comments, and we can, oh, good, you are here. So is it Elon? Is that how I pronounce your name? Is that wrong? Elon? Yeah, oh, it is. Okay, good. Oh, I like that name. I haven't heard that before. I like it. Oh, good. So you are here. I wasn't sure if I had another person here with me or not. So that's great. But you know what? If you tell me what in particular you're interested in, I'm happy to focus my general discussion on that. Are you thinking of majoring, minoring? Are you just sort of interested in philosophy in general? Do you know yet? It's okay if you don't know as well. I know that when you get here, often we try to put you on different paths, channel you in different areas, and often we don't know, especially students who are in philosophy. Students who are drawn to philosophy, I think, are the types that like to think about stuff. Oh, you're majoring. Okay, good. Great. Well, good for you. You're smart, obviously. Anyone interested in philosophy is smart because it's not easy. It's for people who like to think. So I could talk a little bit about the major in general, and then I can talk some about the specific program, like what it is when you get into the major, what courses you have to take, and that sort of thing. So a lot of people, and I don't know if have you had some philosophy? Did you have some philosophy in high school, like in an English class, or maybe, I know some students had a philosophy class in high school. I didn't. I had never taken philosophy when I got to my undergraduate institution. But philosophy in general, as you probably know, since you're already a major, is just means the love of wisdom. And oh yeah, you're an AP Lit. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. That's great. I'm just right now reading a biography about the poet Sylvia Plath, and she had a literature course and that was really influential for her, and they did lots of philosophy in her lit course. So I bet that's what's probably happening in you. Good for you to be in an AP class too. Yay, you're doubly smart then. So one thing I'll say about philosophy that I think I say to everybody, but I will say especially to you because you may be getting a hard time. I don't know if you're getting a hard time, but a lot of people have the mistaken view that philosophy is something that isn't really useful, that it doesn't have a lot of practical application. People think, oh, you're going to do philosophy. What are you going to do with that? Be a pizza delivery guy? And there's nothing wrong with being a pizza delivery guy, but philosophy doesn't lead to that. It's actually a really useful discipline. And unlike majors like accounting or computer science, where the degree prepares you for a very specific kind of profession, philosophy prepares you for many different professions. And it's often true that you'll have to start out at an entry-level position, but philosophy can take you to an entry-level position in almost anything. So philosophy majors are actually pretty, yeah, exactly. You can go in so many different directions. I really liked that too when I started studying it. So a lot of people do end up going to law school, and philosophy is a really good preparation for law school because it does prepare you to do both the kind of left brain, logical, analytical thinking that's more sort of mathy, but it also, you do lots of reading and lots of writing and lots of critical reasoning as well. But it also prepares people for political careers, careers in nonprofit, any career having to do with writing. Philosophy is a great major for writing. The FBI actually really likes philosophy majors. And I don't know if you're interested in that, but because of, again, the kind of critical reasoning skills that students who study philosophy get, there often are, like the FBI and different kinds of government organizations like that, where you're doing lots of analysis. I often think about the sort of famous philosophy majors, but Matt Groening, who created The Simpsons, and is still, you know, I mean, he's the showrunner for The Simpsons, but writes The Simpsons, which, if you watch The Simpsons, you know is brilliant. Was a philosophy major. Stephen Colbert studied philosophy. Katie Tur, who is a newscaster, she's on MSNBC. She has her own show on that network. She was a philosophy major. And these are just, you know, I mean, not that it's so important. Steve Martin, the comedian, he's also a musician, but most of us know him from comedy. And I know you're young. He's probably like before your time, but you probably know who he is anyway. These are some people who studied philosophy. The Coen brothers, the directors, the film directors, they both studied philosophy. And one reason I think that it's like not just fun to mention the famous people, but it's relevant is because you see that it has such broad application. So in terms of really preparing you to think and to write, and to reason in an effective way, so to think effectively. So philosophy majors also often do double major, and you certainly don't have to, but you can, and philosophy goes really well with lots of other disciplines. I personally, I live in the University Gables, which is, it's faculty staff housing. So where I live, it's almost all Cal State Fullerton professors and staff. And it's interesting because, so my neighbors, who are also my good friends, are professors in other departments. So I have two geology professors next door. The chair of modern languages is on the other side. There's a psychology professor right across the way from me, and a ceramics professor. So I have, and that's just like in my little cul-de-sac, but I get to talk to them about philosophy. And one thing that I'm sort of like to brag about is anytime they have students of ours, of the philosophy departments, they always rave about how great they are. So in the psychology department, for example, a lot of our students will study psychology and philosophy, and the psychology professor that I know here, as well as some other ones I know on campus, always talk about how great our students are. I think that's not an accident. I think it's because, one, philosophy draws certain kinds of students. It just does. It's a self-selected group, because it's not like we're famous for making lots of money, or, which doesn't mean we can't, but that's not, you know, it's not considered by people's parents to be like a necessarily the best job getting major, which again, that's not necessarily true. But so people often, you know, don't think about philosophy, but it draws people who are genuinely interested. And then the skill set that it provides people, as you already are learning, I'm sure, in your lit class, is a really, really valuable skill set. So because of that, philosophy majors perform really, really well on standardized tests. So they, I mentioned law school earlier, philosophy majors do better than any other major across universities on the LSAT, which is the preparatory exam you have to take to get into law school. They also do better, they do among the very best. They tie, I think, with physics on the GRE, which is the graduate record exam, which people take if they want to go on and get a graduate degree in one of the specific disciplines, if they want to go on and be a professor. But everybody takes a test, and whether you're from English or philosophy or math or history or chemistry or political science, everybody takes those majors, and philosophy majors do the very best with the physics people. So that's just big picture, but I think I like telling students that, because I know when I decided to major in philosophy, well, at first my family was okay with it because I initially thought I wanted to go to law school, and then I decided I wanted to do philosophy and be a philosophy professor, and they were sort of head tilt. And I think it's useful to know that actually it has lots of application. Philosophy majors do pretty well because they do have such a valuable skill set. The major itself, and I think that I can share with you a document that I'll show you, which just shows you a little bit about the major, which at the very beginning of your sorry, doing 12 things at once. Sure, of course, I'm very happy to do that. That's great. So, in fact, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this document with you, which it will allow us to go over stuff in a more detailed way than my random free associations here about why it's good to be a philosophy major. I really do think that, though. I'm not just claiming that. I think that. Okay. So, and I know we also may have some other people watching this later on next week, but good for you for doing it today. So this is taking you through the major, and I'll talk about the classes as we go through this. So the curriculum, this it's just like a basic set of information about the major. So we tell students who are majoring, not your freshman year. So if you're coming in as a freshman, you don't have to worry about this quite yet, but think about it for your sophomore year. Taking Philosophy 315, and Philosophy 315, it's called Philosophical Argument and Writing. And the reason it's good to take it is because it's sort of our methods class. It's the how to do philosophy class. So it's useful to take because you'll learn a lot about what makes for an effective philosophy paper, how to go about writing an effective philosophy paper, how to go about doing research for a philosophy paper, how to make arguments, how to develop effective arguments, which I'm sure you're getting some of already, but you'll get, you know, the sort of intense version of that in Philosophy 315. So that one's required for our majors, and we like them to take that as early as possible because then they have that training which they can use in all the other classes. The second one on this sheet, can you see it okay? You can, I'm sure you can. If not, let me know. If you are not seeing a sheet that, okay, great, thank you. So the second one here you can see says take the required classes early. So these are Philosophy 290 and Philosophy 300, and these are our History of Philosophy classes that are requirements as part of the History of Philosophy sequence. And Philosophy 290, Ancient Greek Philosophy, it starts with the pre-Socratics and goes up through Aristotle. Some people might teach some later thinkers as well. We don't expect anybody to already to have previous knowledge of these people. Some people have read Plato, have read some of Plato's dialogues. Some may have read a little bit of Aristotle, maybe the Poetics, but this class takes you through the history of ancient Greek philosophy. This is one that I teach. Ancient Greek philosophy is one of my main areas of expertise. I love it. I sort of think the ancient Greeks got a whole lot right. I'm not sure that we improved upon them. I'm not sure we haven't gotten more confused. But so that one's good to take early. And then Philosophy 300, Rationalism and Empiricism, which is often thought of as early modern philosophy. And here you get Descartes and you get Spinoza and Leibniz. And if you haven't heard these names, don't worry. I certainly had never heard of them when I got to undergrad. But these are both history classes, so it's good to take those early. And then 301, which is Kant in the 19th century, that's another history of philosophy class. That one's good to save until after you have taken Philosophy 300. But it's no longer required. We used to require it, and it's not required anymore, but it's a great class. Immanuel Kant is a really important philosopher. Another philosopher that comes up in the Kant and the 19th century class that students really, really like is Nietzsche. I'm in that camp too. I really like Nietzsche. I like the way he writes. I like that he is he's sort of, well, you may have read him actually in your lit class. I don't know if you've read maybe Thus Spoke Zarathustra or On the Genealogy of Morals, but he challenges us in so many ways, and he's super critical of Western culture and Western thought and how our ideas are working and everything. Anyway, he comes up in that class too. So then there's a bunch of different classes, and you know what I'm going to share with you, though? I think that it's going to be helpful. Let me pull up for you this other form, which may even be, well, I say that, and maybe I might. thought I had it ready to go before you got here. I certainly meant to. Let's see. I thought I had the actual sheet because we have a sheet that you might find more useful since you were talking about specifically about the curriculum. But because this is just telling you, sort of giving you a little bit of advice about how you may want to choose your classes. Like it's great to take classes with, we have faculty members with our 9 faculty members. And then we also have, those are faculty members who are permanent members of the faculty. Then we have adjunct professors who are also really good in the philosophy department. All the professors are excellent. But it's also useful when you're taking classes, if you can, take classes with people on their expertise. So Professor Calarco, the first one listed there, who teaches existentialism, and he also teaches Marx and Marxism, he teaches postmodernism. He works also in animal studies. So he works a lot on non-human animals and thinking philosophically about non-human animals and our relationship to them and how we treat them. He's great. He's an award-winning professor. He's won best teacher, and he's awesome. Yeah, he's really good. And he's a person that you might want to write his name down because I sat in on some of his classes. He's so good. I'm a professor and I don't need any classes, but he's so good that I sat in on some of his classes because the stuff that he works on is really important and interesting, and he's such a good teacher. So it's great to take classes with him, especially in his areas of expertise, like on animal studies and existentialism and postmodernism. His existentialism class, I often encourage my students, even his name is Calarco, Matt Calarco. I can put it in the chat for you too. So his first name is Matthew, but you'll only ever see it in the catalog as Calarco. Professor Davis, he teaches medical ethics and philosophy of law and ethical theory, as well as other classes. And one great thing about Professor Davis is he also was a practicing lawyer. So he has a Juris Doctorate in addition to a PhD in philosophy. And that's pretty cool, right? So if he's teaching us about medical ethics and legal ethics and ethical theory, he also has that legal background because he's trained as a lawyer as well. So he's another one that is good to take classes with, especially if you're interested in law. And if you end up deciding you might want to go to law school or do something in law enforcement or anything like that, his courses are often very relevant for that. Professor DePaulo, he teaches epistemology and he also teaches logic and symbolic logic, and he's a really great professor. Epistemology, which I'm not sure if you've come across that word yet in your classes, but epistemology is philosophy of knowledge, or theory of knowledge. Sorry, it's not philosophy of knowledge, it's theory of knowledge. And it has to do with how we know things and how do we come to conclusions? How do we know the difference between an opinion and genuine knowledge, that sort of thing. So he's also he's new, he's young, he's such a good teacher, he's so enthusiastic. I like to joke that I personally don't work in epistemology, and to me, it sort of hurts my brain to think about epistemology, but I feel like if I had had Professor DePaulo, I might have actually ended up being interested, end up working in epistemology because he's so good. I'm Copeland, so the fourth person on the list there is I'm that person, and I do Greek philosophy. I also teach philosophy of film, so philosophy of literature and cinema, which my course in philosophy of literature cinema focuses exclusively on cinema, on film, because I do research on philosophy of film, so I'm especially interested in it. So we look at film philosophically, and we think about it in terms of sort of meta level questions about what it is, what makes film different from literature, for example, and is it art? If it's an art, I think it is, but we read some of the early debates about that. We also talk about philosophy. Is philosophy something that filmmakers can do? Can filmmakers do philosophy? Yes, it is. So in this major, right, so you are going to get focused, you'll get discussion of writing, especially in that 315 class, the philosophical argument in writing. You'll get discussions of how to write well. It's not like the English department. So unlike the English department, it's not, the courses won't focus only on grammar, structure, syntax, but how to write well will come up in your classes. And one of the things, I mean, philosophers are, because we're trained in making arguments and in writing, we have to be able to write well. So we teach our students how to write well. That's very important to us. So like when it comes to grammar and syntax and all that good stuff, like I'm sort of crazy when it comes to that, meaning like I care a lot about it. So any students who have questions about that can certainly go to any of the professors, but we do really work with students to try to help them write well. That's just because philosophy is partly about argument. You have to be able to express ideas as clearly and effectively as possible. And in order to do that, you have to have a mastery of grammar and structure and syntax. So, which I'm sure also you're getting in your AP class. Is it such a fun class? I'm assuming it's a super fun class. And other students who probably are thinking about philosophy, who are maybe watching this, probably it's in part because of lit classes as well. I had a history teacher who was really, really great. I think he probably impacted me in such a way that I ended up being in philosophy, but we will do that in the major, yeah. Oh, you're doing the Crucible. That's so good. The Crucible is filled with philosophy, right? Arthur Miller. That's such a great play and so interesting. I did theater in high school, and we did the Crucible my sophomore year. And I got really, really lucky. And I got to play Abby, who, you know, is not good. I mean, she's not a good person. She's a bad person, but she was a really fun part to play. Poor John Proctor, and poor Goody Proctor. Although, of course, in the play, I didn't, the character, I didn't like Goody Proctor, but it's such a great play and so interesting. Because it's about the witch trials, but I'm sure you've been talking in your class about that it was about more than that, right? At the time, socially and politically. And it's so interesting too to think about how is it relevant today when we think about, like, we have so much political polarization, unfortunately, right? And it's really interesting, I think, to take works of art like The Crucible, also like TV shows, or you can take Game of Thrones, you could take Lord of the Rings, you can take a whole bunch of different kinds of fictional works and see things that are super relevant to contemporary social and political questions, as well as questions about human nature and questions about sex and love. So we also have a class, Philosophy 325. I teach that one as well, which is Philosophy of Sex and Love. And in that one, we talk about relationships, and we talk about what is love, what's the nature of love, but also how is love depicted culturally. I bring that up just because I think in the Crucible that comes up. Yeah. Yeah, you're exactly right. So because philosophy really, more than anything, it's about just exactly what you said, analyzing things. So it's about writing, and it's about analysis, it's about thinking. And within philosophy, I know for me, one of the reasons I'm so happy that not only that I studied philosophy, because when I picked it, I didn't really fully know everything that it would entail. I thought I might go to law school. I had been a history major and I loved history, but the stuff I loved about history was more like the philosophical dimensions. But one reason I'm so happy I chose it is because you can analyze basically everything. And philosophy gives everybody who studies it a set of tools. And then you can use those tools, whether you want to think about politics, whether you want to think about literature, whether you want to think about education, whether you want to think about science or space exploration, or any number of things. I mean, really, I can't think of anything that philosophy isn't relevant to. So I mentioned earlier, I have across the way from me is the professor who runs the ceramics program. And so he works in fine art, but we talk philosophy too, because philosophy is relevant for artists, even artists who are making stuff, not just the critics, not just the, the art critics, or the art historians, but even the artists themselves. So I think you're super smart to choose philosophy. And of course, I know we all love our own discipline, but some of us are actually right. No, I'm kidding. But I honestly, one thing that I think is so great about college, and philosophy is part of this, but it's only one part of this, is that you do get to study a bunch of different things. And I think that it's, you get turned on to things, different disciplines and ideas and ways in which they connect and overlap in ways that most of us didn't get in high school. And it's just really exciting. I know for me, I ended up becoming interested in things that I never thought I would be, but I was. And then there are other things that I had always been interested in, but I'd never taken classes in because we didn't have them where I was in school. And when you get to those classes, it's so fun. You're probably having this experience some now because you're a senior, where you're studying things and you're like, I've been thinking about this my whole life, but I didn't have a way to talk about it. I didn't have a vocabulary for it. And one thing that university does is it gives you that, which is so great. I'm going to show you, I'm going to actually look more effectively this time, I hope. I had this ready to go for us, and then I just don't know where it is. Maybe this is it. Maybe this could be it. I think it's it. I hope it's it. And it's not it. It's not it. So clearly, as the philosophy doesn't necessarily, if you ever become a philosophy professor, it won't necessarily make you the most effective at this sort of thing. Most of the philosophy professors are more effective at this than I am, though. I will say that. I'm so sorry I don't have it ready to go, but I'm gonna get it right now for us, because it really is relevant. And I think it's just useful for you to, and this also, you can find this on the philosophy department's website. So we have a website, and let's see, where did I put them? Maybe it's in here. I see them, one for the minors. Let me try this. So if you go to Cal State Fullerton and you go Cal State Fullerton Philosophy, on the website we have, this form should be up there. So in fact, if I can't find it this way really fast, then I'm going to, I found it. I was going to say, well, go to the website because you could get this there. But I could also probably drop this into the chat. And I think if I do that, it will be possible for you if you want to. And if you're on your phone, you may not be able to, but if you are on a computer, you can maybe download this, maybe. We'll see. I think I can drop it in the chat. Okay, maybe it doesn't want to let me. When it's my class, you are in your computer. See, I should be able to do that. I feel like I should. Why does it not? It doesn't want to let me. Maybe it's because it's recording it or something. I don't know, but you know what? I can, if you give me your email, I'm happy to email it to you too. It is available on the website. I'm going to stop sharing this and then start sharing something else with you. And any people who are watching this later. Let's see. Okay. So, and I can't, like I said, if you want me to email this to you, if you drop your email in the chat, but if you'd rather just get it off the website, you can do that. You also don't have to take it right now. You can get it at any point. Oh, okay. I'm going to do, yay. I'll make sure I'm going to email this to you as soon as we're done. I'll email it to you. Oh, we're already out of time. I guess I should let you escape because we're already done. But I'm going to email this to you right now. This is going to just show you, I don't know what you have next today. I know you have like a full calendar, so I won't keep you, although you probably have a few minutes between things. But feel free to log out at any point. I'll just talk in case you want to just hear the super quick overview of this, but I will also email it to you. And you can always, in fact, I'm going to put in the chat, I'm going to put you can email me, and the truth is I get so much email that I'm not great at email, but there's my mobile number, so you can always text me and then just let me know that it's Elon, that we met during Welcome to Fullerton Day or Experience CSUF Day, and I'll happily answer any questions that you have. When you do, we're supposed to be on campus next semester. The philosophy department is on the 3rd floor of the humanities building, and you'll go into it and all the philosophy professors' offices are there. Oh, they aren't showing up. Oh no. Okay, it's I wonder why that is. It's 714. If you want to write this down, it's 714-366-7747. So that's my number. 714-366-77. You know what? I think this might do it. Here. I think I fixed it. Do you see it now, maybe? Yeah, okay, awesome. Also, you know what? If that didn't show up, that's the professor I mentioned who teaches the animal studies and the existentialism stuff. Since if that wasn't showing up, I wonder if maybe now it will let me put this form in there. Oh, it still won't. But I'm going to email it to you anyway. So, because yours did show up for me. So, but if you can always text me. And then if you text me, if you have questions, just let me know who you are. But like my students in my class, I just give them my mobile number because I get so much email that it's just, if you can always email me, but if you don't hear back right away, it's just text me, and I really don't mind. That's why I give my number out. So, and I will let you go to your next thing. I'm sorry that I didn't go through this with you, but I'm going to email it to you, and you can get back in touch with me at any point, and have a good rest of your day. Okay, awesome. Yay. And have fun with the Crucible. Hooray. Arthur Miller. Goody Proctor. See you later. Yeah, and for any students who do end up watching this, I didn't do a very general overview of the major, but I'm more than happy to talk about that with anybody who's interested. So I gave my number earlier there. You can always text me, and I'm more than happy to talk to you about that. We also have lots of information on the philosophy department's website, which you of course should check out whenever you like. And but I know you don't need to watch this all day, so I'll stop now, and have a good rest of your day, and I hope to see you in classes. And Cal State Fullerton is a great place to be, and it's really exciting to be starting college, or continuing college. I hope it feels like that for you. It should. All right, have a good one.